Welcome back to the Worthy Woman podcast with Aston Simmons. And I have a very special guest with me today. I am so excited to record this episode and share this with you. I have the beautiful Kate Christie with me, who is an author, a time management expert, an inspirational global speaker, a sought-after media commentator. She has worked with such big, amazing clients like L'Oreal, Westpac, like so many, too many to list. You should see her bio. It's huge. I was like, wow, this is amazing. This woman is an absolute powerhouse. And I'm here today to talk to her about her latest book, The Life List. And this book is honestly life-changing. Honestly, I think all of Kate's books are. If you haven't read any of her books, please go and get them. I said to Kate that I share her book, Me First, with all of my clients because I think every woman needs to learn how to put themselves first. But honestly, check her out. Definitely get that book. But today we're going to be talking about The Life List, which is an incredible book about living your life audaciously. It's really about, I love how Kate talks about that every woman needs to live their life by design. They need to live an audacious life, and they need to realize that it's your turn. It's your turn and your time to live your life. So I am so excited to have this chat. We're going to be talking deeply about what the life list is, how you can start living your own life list, and so much magic in today's chat. So I just want to hand it over to Kate now to really tell us a bit about her, besides all of these incredible things she's done in the world and she's still doing, to let us a bit about her as well.
Oh, hi, Aston. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. My God, it's crazy when someone introduces you like that, and you think, oh, look at all that. She's done a lot. Outside of all of that, I guess like most of or many of your clients and your listeners, I'm a proud mum. I've got three incredible children. We all say our children are incredible. Sometimes they're assholes, but
Yes,
mostly
they
they're
are.
incredible. And they're the loves of my life. My oldest son was born on my 30th birthday.
Wow.
So he's the best birthday present I ever got. I haven't had a birthday to myself ever since, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, so we make a really big deal of Mother's Day in our house.
Yes.
Um, so my kids are amazing. I had three babies in 3.5 years, which
Mm.
was absolutely hectic. But it was also brilliant because they're best friends and they have been all the way through. I've got two boys and a girl. And my daughter is this incredible Amazonian bloody supermodel, super
Wow.
brain, super resilient, strong woman because she had these two older brothers who just gave her curry for her whole
Mm.
life. And she doesn't take any prisoners. I want to be like her when I grow up. She's amazing.
Yes, I
Um,
love that.
yeah, and the boys are just terrific. They're very close, all three of them. And it's divine. I love their closeness, and I love our lives together. Every now and then I escape down the coast because they're just shitting me and they're so noisy and they're so demanding. They're 23 or 22, 21 and 19. And it's most of the time they're either got their foot in the adult camp where it's, get out of my way, mum, don't let the door hit you on the ass. And then the rest of the time they're wanting to be kids and, play fighting as to who's going to sit on my knee and lick my face. It's just like, get off me. And they want to touch me. And it's just, stop touching me. So for those of you with really little kids, it doesn't get any better. They just turn
Yeah.
into really, really big kids and they still want to touch you and lick you. So three amazing kids. I have very, very close to my sisters. I have an older sister and a younger sister, and we see each other every single day. We
I
all
love
live
that.
within 1 kilometre of each other and within 1 kilometre of the beach. So we meet every
Wow.
morning and swim every day of the year. rain, hail, and shine. My dad's across the road from the beach, so I see him every day as well. And,
Mm.
in winter, he'll have hot water bottles and cups of tea ready for us when we get home. And, um, and so it's really the three things my life revolves around are my kids, and my sisters and dad. So I guess my inner sanctum, my family, my business, and my health and well-being. And that's it. I've
Mm.
worked out very quickly. Well, no, not quickly. I'm 52, turning 53. I finally worked out what it is in my life that I most value, and I've built my life around it. And it's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. And honestly, this is why your message is so important, because I think we make it harder than it needs to be to live a life that, like you say, is important to us. It can be audacious, it can be amazing, like whatever that means to you, but we make it harder. I really feel like we make it harder. And just hearing you simplify it down to three core values,
Mm.
it just sounds so achievable.
And it is, I think that when I'm working, and this sort of becomes both a time management issue, but also a goal setting issue in terms of, we're so accessible. We live in the age of
Mm,
information. We're constantly switched on. We're a click away from anyone, and we have to be really firm with our boundaries. And the way to do that is to not think about, well, what are my values? That's the wrong question. We need to ask ourselves, what is it that I most value? What do I actually
mm,
most value? And ask questions of yourself like, if I was really sick, what would I get out of bed for? When I'm with my best friends, what do I love talking about? If I think about the person I most admire in my life, what would I love that person to compliment me on? And asking yourself those sorts of questions, it's going to help you hone in on what it is you most value. And when you have
yes.
that laser like clarity over what you most value, then it becomes very easy to say yes and no to the multitude of requests that come your way. So get that clarity, and then you're going to be able to start saying no to the things that fall outside of what it is that you most value, and yes to everything else. And when you
Yes.
approach your life in that way, or at least 1 out of 7 days in that way, or 1 out of 3 days, you actually have all the time you need.
Mm. Yes, I fully feel that. I think we fill our days. We become busy. We wear this busy badge and then we resent everybody in our lives, our husbands, our children, like or everybody, when we're the person saying yes. So I love that. That really simplifies exactly how to get clear on your values. And I love those questions. I love powerful questions. And I think ask better questions, you get better answers. And
Yeah,
they were the perfect example of being more specific with your question to get an answer, which actually means you can get what you want.
that's right.
Being super specific. I love that. I would love to start talking about, I feel like we're already talking about it, but let's go deep into your new book, The Life List. It's a call to action for women to start putting themselves first. And oh my God, that's what the Worthy Women podcast is all about. So I'm just so glad you're here. We're so lucky to have you here. And to live a life by design. Now, I'd love to know a bit more about what living a life by design means, but I would also like to know what drove you to write this book as well. So, wherever you want to start, there are two
Okay.
questions that are really hot on my heart that I want to make sure I
Okay.
ask.
So I'll start with, what's a life by design? A life by design is really being very intentional about what it is
Mm.
that you most value and making sure you're making and investing your time in that space. We're busy, as you said, and many of us wear that busy badge with pride and honor. And that's not a club I want any of you to be in. It's not a cool club.
Nope,
It's a crap club.
it is. It's crap. I was
You
in it
know,
before. I gave my badge
yeah.
back.
Yeah. Hand it in. We don't want to just cancel that subscription. So having real clarity over what it is that you value, and then designing your perfect life. My life is pretty bloody good. I've designed it, my day, my week, my month, my year around those three things I value. So all of my time I'm either spending on my kids, on my business, or kids and family, my business, or my health and well-being. And I fully appreciate that they become quite big buckets. I mean, I can put anything under the health and well-being banner if it makes me feel good, but it's removing a lot of the requests that come my way, because it just becomes a very simple no. So life by design really is being true to you, what it is you most value. That's what a life by design is. And then making it happen. You know, we can all have a list. Everyone can write a list. You actually have to implement it. That's where the magic is. In terms of what prompted me to write the book, you know, really sort of brutal, awful couple of years. My life partner left our marriage sort of 4 or 5 years ago, and that was really, really hard. You know, we'd been married for 22 years. We had our 3 kids. We had our future planned. I could kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel. You know, we'd come through all of those really hard years, and we were almost there. And he left. He said that he wanted the chance to fall in love with someone else, and that he didn't love me anymore. And it was brutal. I threw myself into my kids and into my business, and I had to create a new life for us. He went off and very much lived a sort of a single guy life. He sort of wanted to be a bachelor, and that was very challenging because he wasn't there really for the kids, and he wasn't there for me to help with the kids. I'm not saying he was completely absent, but he certainly wasn't even 50% present. He wasn't even 25% present. And it was challenging. And I think we were kind of just getting through that hard bit at the start, and we'd had our financial settlement. We were starting to form a new relationship, a friendship. We were certainly co-parenting really well in terms of making decisions, and you know, the kids didn't really have the chance to play us off against each other because we told each other all the stupid shit they were up to. So we were doing really well at aspects of our new relationship. And we came into COVID. So March 2020, you know, the world obviously stopped, and we were just sort of getting our heads around that. And Dan was, in April 2020, Dan was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And 11 months later, he had died. And it was awful, Aston. I mean, I know that sounds trite, and it was every bit the shit show you could possibly imagine. Watching my 3 young adult, old teenagers, whatever you want to call them, going through that 11-month process of watching their dad die was the worst experience of my life. There's nothing you can do to make that better. There's no happy ending. There's no, it's, you know, going to be okay. It's going to get better. There's nothing like that in that story. Really, all you can do is be there and hold them and love them and be their punching bag on the days that they're angry. Hold them when the days when they're not coping. And they were amazing. You know, my eldest deferred from uni, and he was almost Dan's primary carer for 6 months. You know, the kids sort of moved in with him. Once he was diagnosed, he came back as a dad. You know, he spent a lot of time with the kids in those last 11 months, and he was an amazing dad, and it was the best of him. And that was a gift because the kids got to have that really incredible last year with him. And that's what I encourage them to remember. You know, and the same with me and my marriage with him. We had wonderful, wonderful, amazing years. I mean, he was awesome. You know, he used to make me laugh my ass off. No one's ever made me laugh like he made me laugh. And yeah, he broke my heart, but he still was the funniest person I've ever met. And I just now prefer to think about and remember all that was wonderful, and I don't dwell on all the shit. You know, everyone has baggage. We all have shit. He was a dick, he left the marriage, but I didn't fight for him either.
Mm.
And that was a sort of a realization for me later when I was writing the book, well, hang on a sec, Kate, it takes two to tango. And so there were a lot of kind of cathartic learnings for me. But after he died, and I guess about 6 months after, when I was sort of getting through the hardest days, and I was reflecting and just thinking, life is just so short. It's and he put off so much to later. There were all
Mm.
these things he wanted to do with the kids, but he was going to do them later because his priorities had changed. But all of a sudden, there was no later. Later was too late. And I just thought I need to live my life very differently from now on. I need to be very intentional. I need to create a list of things I want to do while I'm young enough to live it and love it.
Mm.
I don't want a bucket list of things I want to do before I die. I want to live right now. And I guess that was his kind of parting gift when I think about it. He left me with this resolution that I want to live very intentionally and very, very differently. So I wrote an article. I'm an opinion columnist for CEO World Magazine in America, and I wrote an article for them. And I'm their time management productivity person, and I wrote this article that had nothing to do with any of that, which was, this is what's happened. I've lost my ex-husband, my kid's dad. Life is too short. I'm going to do it different from now on. And I had this list of things like, I'm not going to vacuum. I'm going to eat lollies whenever I want. I'm going to swear my ass off because I love swearing. But things like, I'm going to tell my kids I love them even when they're shitting me. I'm going to be the best mum I can be. I'm going to swim every day. I'm going to climb mountains, And I wrote this list, and I didn't actually think that the magazine would publish it because it was so different to my normal content. And I got an email back from them about 20 minutes after I'd sent it through, and it had made the front page. And I just thought,
Wow.
wow. And then I got emails and messages from all around the world with people saying, this is unbelievable. I want to write a life list. Can I take your life list? So many messages of love and support from complete strangers. And I thought, God, there's so much power in this concept. So I wrote the book.
Wow. Oh my God. Honestly, the whole way through, goosebumps, tears, like my heart. I was just like, you had me hanging on, hanging on by, at the edge of my seat listening, because the thing is, it has everything to do with time. It really, it is. It matches everything that you're about, because all your previous books about creating that time to actually
Mm.
get your life back. So of course this book was going to happen, because this is then what you do when you have that time. You don't wait till later, you do it now. And
I love that you
oh,
say that. I
it's
love
it's
that. Yeah.
it totally, to me, I'm like, this makes perfect sense. This was the divine journey, of course. And honestly, your heart, when you're talking about your children and your life partner, like, I can relate so deeply. I'm a mum. I have young kids. I've been in a long-term relationship, and nothing comes close to the spiritual initiation, I think, of having children, being in a long-term relationship, and then maybe add in your own business as well. I think those three things are the perfect catalyst to have the greatest spiritual awakening you could possibly have. I think nothing comes close to it.
Mm.
And the fact that you've done all three and put your heart and soul into all of it. And yes, I can only imagine how painful and brutal that was. But your willingness to sit in that discomfort and to hold yourself and to hold your kids and be with it. I mean, I think that's another thing we struggle with as a society, is being with the shit times, sitting in
Yeah,
the shit and allowing that to give as a gift. And like I say to
exactly.
people all the time, it's in shitty wrapping paper. I'm fully validating that. This is a shit wrapping paper. This is not what we wanted it to be. And like, it could have come in any other packaging, seriously, and I
Yeah.
still would have got the gift. But it had to come in that. And when you opened it and you sat in it, there was such gifts in there that have changed you, that have changed your kid's life. And I always say that pain has a powerful purpose. And I have to believe that, because otherwise I just could not accept the amount of pain and suffering there is in the world,
Yeah.
Um, but you are a living example of that pain having a powerful purpose. And the way you were talking about living with intention, I think we're living in a world and a society that is not living intentionally. And that's why I think this book is so powerful and this message is so important. And like I was saying to you, it's a personal story, but it's a universal message because we need this wake up call to live intentionally, because exactly what you just said, there is no later. And we only have now. And how do we use now? We be intentional about the time that we have and how we use it. And how you were talking about your marriage and with young kids, and you were just getting through that hard bit. This is exactly what me and my husband went through 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And we were holding on to that same narrative that we're sold, that, oh, just, you've got kids, you've been together a long time, just hold on.
Yeah.
Eventually, one day you'll get to the point where you'll
You
be
get the
living.
prize.
Yeah, you'll be living your life. There'll be, it'll be all worth it. Just keep going. And when we hit our hardest time 3 years ago, we could not believe that that was the best advice people were giving us. That
Yeah.
this is just how it is. Suck it up. And one day, like you say, you'll see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I remember turning to my husband and saying, well, this is excruciatingly painful, what we're in right now. I cannot imagine putting myself, you, or our children through like another 20 years of this to
Yeah.
get to some
To some
future,
nirvana.
some
Yeah.
future thing that there's no guarantee that we're going to get to. And like you're sharing through, the heartbreak of your family, that so many don't get to that nirvana, that beautiful light at the end of the tunnel isn't always there. So, how do we live it now? And I loved that you were sharing about your A to Z list. I absolutely love this. I'm so inspired by this and really want to write my own A to Z life list. And I really want to encourage everybody listening to write their own A to Z list. Can you tell me a little bit more about this A to Z list? And I really want to know about the part in your list that talks about your mum being a witch, because as I was sharing with you, I swear to God, my mum is a witch. All my sisters, I'm one of 5 and I've got 3 sisters, and we all think that my mum is a witch. So when I read that, I was like, oh my gosh, I can really relate. So I'd love to hear about, like, what is an A to Z life list? How do we write it?
Mhm.
What is it? And then I'd love to know a bit more about your life list, and particularly the story about your mum.
Okay. So the book is broken into 4 parts. So the first part is really my journey, which I've shared with you in terms of what brought me to the place of wanting to create my own life list. The second part of the book is how to actually write your own life list. It's very simple. Here's how to create your own list. The third part is then the really, probably from my perspective, in terms of knowing what my clients go through, the real crux of the book is actually how to implement. We can all design a list, we can all write a list, but unless you do something with it, it's just a list. So the third part of the book is actually how to get shit done, how to turn up and make sure that you're living this life you've designed. Then the fourth part is sort of the A to Z of my current life list. And I guess it's in part to provide inspiration for women reading the book in terms of what they could put into their life list. It's in part to be a little bit voyeuristic, so you can sort of, if you're not quite ready yet, you can live through me. And very big part of it is about myself making sure that I'm accountable. I've put it in the book, it's out in the world and the universe. I literally have to turn up now and do this stuff. And I'll be writing about it regularly in my blog in terms of these goals that I'm setting myself. So the A to Z is sort of the current iteration of my life list, and it's got things on there, like how I go about my business planning. It's got, wanting to be a digital nomad, and I'm moving to Bali for 7 weeks this year, learning to surf. It's got things like my giving policy in terms of my work. I've always donated my time and my expertise to charities, but it's been done in a very ad hoc way. So I wanted to be very deliberate and intentional. So I've created I set the goal of creating a giving policy, and I'm now intentionally working with my charities. So things like that. In terms of my mum being a witch, W in the life list is for woo woo and embracing a bit of woo woo. I'm very practical, the time management expert. Here's your 5 steps, follow these, and you'll get your time back. And I just thought it's time to kind of embrace a little bit of woo woo. I want to experiment. I want to open myself up to something different. And so in setting the goal, I share that, I think I was about 8 when my mum declared to us that she was a witch.
Wow.
And she genuinely believed it. And you know what, Aston, I think she bloody was.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure my mum declared the same thing, and that's probably
Yeah.
why we all think it.
Yeah. And we were living and traveling around England at the time. And, mum and dad would drag us off to all these, historical old houses. And, mum would always feel a ghost in the room. And she'd say to the tour guide, "Oh, I can feel a ghost." And the tour guide, "Oh my God, yes, this room has a ghost." And, everyone would look at mum like she was fucking mad. But she genuinely, believed it. And she had a lot of along our lives, there were things that she would do or see or predict that ended up occurring. I remember after she passed away and we were helping Dad to clean out the house, and we found all these ice cube trays in the freezer with frozen ice, but inside the ice were little slips of paper with people's names written on them.
Wow.
And I've Googled it since, and it's a witchy thing where if someone's
Wow.
wronged you, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm pretty sure she had voodoo dolls. I'm not even going there. So she was very
Amazing.
witchy. So I decided to kind of embrace a bit of this. So I went off and saw a clairvoyant last year. Just loved every second of it. It was brilliant.
Yes.
I've been to sound healing. I'm going off to do another sound healing session soon. So just embracing a little bit more woo-woo, which is outside of my comfort zone, because
Yeah.
I'm not really that woman. But it's fun when you get
Yeah.
outside your comfort
And
zone.
isn't it amazing that you actually, through doing that, you find parts of yourself or you meet parts of yourself that you just wouldn't have met if you just stick to what you normally do.
100%.
And I'm like you. I love the woo, but I also love the work. And I think the woo can meet the work, and I think they can work together. I love going to see clairvoyants, and I have a beautiful friend and woman that I see regularly. And I remember the first time I took my husband to see her. He's very logical, like you, wants the science, wants the facts.
Yeah.
And he was so resistant to it, but he was like, "You want me to go? I'll go." He came out exactly like you. He loved it. He was like,
Yeah.
"Oh my God," like it just
I
opened him
know.
up, and he just,
Absolutely.
yeah, he couldn't
Look,
believe it.
I found it phenomenal. I if even if none of it was to come true, which hasn't occurred, a lot of what she said has happened.
Yeah.
Um, and I saw her, I think, August. Um, it's almost like she planted a seed and it gave me motivation and it lent me momentum, and potentially I then created what she said was going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know,
I feel the
it's a
same.
chicken and egg
Yeah.
thing, but regardless, it actually
It
drove me
works. Yeah.
and it worked. And a lot of what she said has come into play. And I recorded it at the time
Yes.
because I knew I'd get so excited that I'd forget half of what she said. So I said, "Oh my God, can I please record this?" And she's, "Yeah, absolutely." So I've listened back to it a number of times. And she was bang on.
Yeah, we do the same with ours, and every time it is. And like you said, it's planting the seed. And I think it also gives you that confirmation that there is this support out there. Whatever you believe in, God, universe, whatever, there is this support. Like guides, angels, whatever you want to call it, they want you
Yeah.
to win,
Yeah.
and I feel like it's comforting to know there is messages, or there's clues, or there's confirmation of what is coming for you. And then I think you buy into it. You're like, okay, well,
Absolutely.
there's
You then make it happen. But
yeah,
it was almost like a shot of adrenaline.
yes,
It was so exciting, and it gave me such phenomenal hope for the future at that
mm,
point in time when I kind of needed a bit of hope.
yes, yes,
That it was $70 well spent just because it made me smile.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it, actually. I loved it. And then the other woo-woo was, it coincided with another thing in my to-do list, or my life list, was around having a yes quest. So for a month, I had to say yes to every request or every opportunity that came my
I
way.
love
I'm a
that.
homebody, so it was, I was really pushing myself out of the comfort zone for this one. And I was in Bali with the kids, and my daughter and I went to visit a waterfall that she wanted to visit. And this guy kind of popped up, like literally just popped up in the water, and he introduced himself as a local custodian of the river, and he was going to show us how to navigate the rocks so we didn't fall and slip. And then he got to know us, and then he said that there was this spiritual part of the river that not many people got to see, and that he would take us. And we're in the middle of the bloody jungle, me and my daughter and this strange bloke, and I was on the yes quest, and Peggy's looking at me as if to say, well, put your money where your mouth is, woman. So I end up saying yes. So he takes us through the jungle, and we're in sarongs. It was boiling hot. There's no one around. Like, we are literally in the middle of the jungle. And he whips out a speaker from his backpack, and he starts playing Adele's My Life Will Go, Our Life Will Go On, the Titanic music.
Yes. Wow.
And so this is playing, and I'm looking at Peggy, and we've kind of got the giggles, thinking, what the hell are we doing? He then brings out a home whittled flute and starts playing, this Adele music as we're walking up a river, and he's like pointing out, mind the snake, and he keeps playing, and don't step in there, that's a hole, and it's not good for the river when tourists die. And we're like, oh my God. And eventually, after 20 minutes sort of walking thigh high up this river, we sort of round a corner, and there's this waterfall.
Wow.
That was spectacular. And so we're walking through the waterfall, and he's taking photos on my phone for us. Walk around another corner, there's a swing that has been erected from vines. So he's pushing us on the swing. Honestly, I had the greatest time of my life. It was just the best, with the Titanic music playing in the background.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. And I love this because I have had similar quests. I didn't know that's what I was doing, but throughout my life. And truly, a big reason why I've had yes lists, I realized last night, and I shared it with my husband, is because of him. So many moments in our life, in our 19 years together, one in particular I can think of, similar to this, I think you'll find it hilarious. We were living in Sydney, and we'd moved over from Perth, and we weren't happy there. We'd lived there for a year, and we were married. I think we just got married, and he was like, oh, well, what do you want to do next? I said, oh, I don't really know, but I don't want to stay here, and I'm not ready to go home. And he was like, okay. And then the next night he comes to me and he goes, why don't we move to Queenstown, New Zealand? And I was like, okay, yes. And I literally just said yes.
Yeah,
and
okay.
I didn't look it up or anything. And he started to plan it. I said, just start planning it. It sounds like a great idea. New Zealand sounds really nice. We may as well. I don't want to be here, and I don't want to go home. So it's like, I feel like the decision's made. Anyway, I went on with life and work, and just, finishing up things in Sydney, and he went on planning everything. And then we go, we get all packed up and, sell all our stuff or send it back to Perth and all of that. And we're flying into Queenstown, New Zealand, and we're on the plane. And I woke up as we're flying in over this beautiful lake, and I look out the window, and I had this massive smile on my face. And I turned to my husband. I was like, are we living here? And is this where we're moving? And he looks at me and he's like, did you not look it up online? Did you not Google it? And I was like, not really. Like, I think I had a couple of looks, but I just said yes, and I just went all in. And I had this moment of like, I can't believe I'm living here.
Yeah.
And I realized, and I was sharing that with him last night, and he was like, so grateful that you actually value that about me, that I've helped you build, your life list essentially, and helped you to say yes. Because I know you talk about in your book that what gets in the way of us taking action is this overthinking, is the, if I had in that moment thought about, okay, well, packing all my stuff up, putting it in storage, flights, how long are we going to live there? Where is it? Am I going to be able to get a job? Like, if I had thought about all of that before saying yes, I probably would never have said yes.
Never have done it. Absolutely. I call
So
them resisting forces. So
yes.
when we set a goal and we have this idea, oh, I'm going to move to Queenstown. The very next thing that happens is our brain then tells us all the reasons why we can't. And
Mm,
there's the fear bucket, so fear of failure, fear of success sometimes, fear of people judging us, fear of looking stupid, fear of being stupid, and then there's the lack bucket. I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money, I don't have the wherewithal, the resources. And so we have to understand what it is, what those resisting forces are. So the very first thing I get you to do is, once you've set the goal, the first thing you have to do then is identify all those resisting forces. What's potentially
mm,
going to stop me or stop this goal in its tracks? And you have to get those things out on the mat straight away so that
yep.
you can push through them.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's so important. And the way you share, like the story you share in the book and how you describe it, I was like, this is exactly it. And it made me realize, well, that's why I've done so many things that I've done in my life, because I haven't, like, I've just said yes before I've even had a chance to think about it. Like you said, once you say yes, to me, it's like this commitment. I'm accountable. I can't actually
Yes.
go back. So,
Yes.
but I think it's, yeah, leaning into that resistance is what I always say. But that's a beautiful way of, like, really just know that there will be resistance.
Yeah,
Just know
absolutely.
that it will be
Acknowledge
there.
them, think about it, and that's when the next step after that is, well, that's the value step. So what is it that I most value? Because whenever I'm starting or chasing down a goal, and the resisting forces jump in, and for me, a huge one for me is imposter syndrome or fear of failure. I set the bar so high, and then I think, oh God, what if I fail? And
Mm,
then I think about what I most value. Well, my kids, my business, and my health and well-being. And I think, well, imagine how proud my kids are going to be when I've completed this, or this is going to provide content for me to use in my business, and I might be able to create a keynote around it or write articles. And this is going to be great for my health and well-being because I'm going to be on top of a mountain, or I'm going to be running a marathon, or I'm going to be pushing myself in this beautiful, magnificent way. And so I then, what it is I most value will knock the resisting forces out of the water every single time. Once I trained my mind to think that way, um, the resisting forces will never stop you ever again
mm.
once you know what it is you truly value.
Yeah, I can really relate to that. I know because I suffer from the same as you, the um I'm almost scared of success. I get the imposter syndrome, and then I get scared of success. And if I left it to my own devices, I probably would stay small. But if I think of my children, or I realize it's actually not about me, it's
Yeah.
about everyone
It's about all the women that you
yeah,
serve.
the women that I'm here to serve, or
Yeah.
the message I'm here to bring that only I can bring, or the message that only you can bring. And then I think about the disservice and the cost of that not going out there, and I've got a rocket up my bum and I can do it, like
It.
it's
That's it, and it's
amazing.
gonna push you through every time. Now, it doesn't mean that those resisting forces completely go away. We're always gonna
Yes.
have them tucked away in our little backpack.
Yeah.
They're gonna be in our bum bag,
Yes.
but we can dial the noise down on them. And,
Yeah.
we then have to, there's other parts of the framework I share in the book around gratitude and around
Mm,
lessons and learnings. And always part of my gratitude when I achieve a goal like this is to acknowledge that I was able to push through the resisting forces, and I'm so grateful for my kids because they help spur me on, or I'm so grateful for my business and the people that I serve because they help spur me on. It's about acknowledging that, because it's
mm.
it's brave for us all to keep turning up and keep chasing our goals. It's brave.
It is, yeah. We're all literally on our own hero's journey, aren't we? We're
Mm,
like
mhm.
every single one of us, like there's no point comparing, because we all have our
Everyone
own kind of
has their
journey.
own hero journey, but we all have our backstory.
Yes.
I shared mine at the start. Every woman I know has a backstory. None of us have got to our whatever our age is or whatever our stage is without some
Yes.
scars.
Yeah.
So, and it's the power of the backstory is to use it as a flame to help you write your future story.
Yes. I love that. That is so powerful. And I really feel that. That is 100% true for me. And I feel 100% true of every woman I've come across, because it's never a straight line for anybody. As you say, there's challenges for a reason. If we don't overcome anything, we have no story to tell. That's exactly what a story is. So, oh, so powerful. I honestly could talk to you forever, but I'm very aware of time, especially because I'm with the time expert. Like, gosh, I'm feeling the pressure. But I honestly want to get this book into as many hands as possible. Like I said to you, I was deeply moved by this book, and I cannot wait to read the whole book. I cannot wait to share it with everybody I know. Please share with us where they can find the book, where they can follow you, because I really think this message, like I said, I know it's a personal story, but it's universal, because we all, I think, need this wake up call to take control, to take back our time, to live our lives before it's too late, exactly how you said, and to live audaciously, live differently. I think, we're not all meant to be living the same life. It's just crazy that we're all thinking our lives need to look the same when they never were meant to look the same. I really believe that.
Exactly. I agree. I agree. Um, Thank you for that beautiful summary. I really agree. So the Life List, Master Every Moment, Live an Audacious Life. It's available on Booktopia, on Amazon. It's going to be in Target.
Oh,
If
amazing.
your clients are in America, it's going to be Barnes and Noble. It's going to be available all great bookstores. So just Google it and buy it. I hope you love it. I'm also encouraging women to email me, share your life list with me. I can't tell you the joy that I receive when readers and women reach out to me. Like Aston, when you reached out to me on Instagram, it made my week. I love
Yes.
hearing from women that it's a service thing. I feel good about helping others live their best life. So I would love to hear from your listeners as to what their life list is going to look like.
Amazing. Honestly, I can't wait to get my copy. I'm going to put all Kate's links below. This woman is incredible, and her message is so powerful. Thank you so much for your time, Kate. I really appreciate it. I've loved this chat so much. And yeah, I'm just celebrating you so much. And thank you for the amazing work that you do.
Thank you, Aston. It was really lovely to talk to you.